Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We are going to be making a card with this new designer paper that came out in the mini catalog, June to December 31st, 2022. This is called Rustic Harvest. The colors in this paper are black, Cajun Craze, Crushed Curry, Early Espresso, Merry Merlot, and Mossy Meadow. I think they're a great palette of colors. The paper is quite beautiful. This is the one we're going to be using today. Got gourds, stripes, some swirls, and a beautiful decorative pattern. And on the back side is a very versatile black and white pattern. I always use black and white. So get rid of that for now. This can be found in the mini catalog, and I did not mark the page. That was not very smart of me. Anyway, the mini catalog, July to December 2022. And we are going to be using this set, which is called Hello Harvest Bundle or Hello Harvest, our rustic pumpkin dies. You can purchase this as a bundle and get 10% off, which is a great way to go. And the papers coordinate with this stamp set. I will mention that celebration is also going on still. I did not bring my celebration book into the room with me, but they have added some new items that you can win. So if you go to my online store, you can see the new items they've added. I think there's about 12 they've added that you can get for free with a purchase of $50 or $100. So I really recommend doing that. You will find the link to my online store in the description below. You'll also find the dimensions for this card, all the supplies used. If you do not have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I would love to be your Stampin' Up demonstrator. You also will find my email address if you'd like to ask any questions. Keep in mind, if you want to see something demonstrated or want to learn how to do something, please let me know, because I am open to helping you do new things, and I'm also open to learning new things. So please let me know. Also, please remember to subscribe to my new channel. Once we get our subscribership up to over 100 people or so, we can start doing some premieres and some other things, and maybe even start giving some giveaways. So thank you for your support of my channel. So let's get started, and let me show you what we're going to be making with this beautiful stamp set. We are going to, let's flip the card around. It's a very simple card. It says hello. If you can't read, I know you can. And it is a panel card. I am showing off this beautiful paper. This paper, it needed to be shown off. It's a picture upon itself. And in the back, we have a place to write our message. So it's a beautiful, simple card. I use Cajun Craze in this one. We are going to be using Merry Merlot this time. And also there is a nice little stamped envelope to go with the card. Don't want naked envelopes, so I'm going to go from there. So let me show you how I made this card. I did not do a whole lot of prep work for this card. I'm actually going to set the card over here so I can see it as I'm going to remind myself of what we're doing. I'll show you some of the other supplies we're going to be using. This is the Hello Harvest stamp set, which I have already taken out the stamps we're going to be using. And this is the Rustic Pumpkin Dies. And I haven't taken those out, and we are going to be using several of this. This is the stock, and these two parts will make a pumpkin. If I can get my fingers around it. And these little swirlies are, and I'm not sure what they're called, but the little things that go on the top of the pumpkin. And so we'll need one of those. So we'll be using those. We're also going to be using the rectangle stitch dies. We are going to be using, I've left them here so you can see, we are using the third one in, And then we are also using the Scalloped contour dies. And this is also the third one in. These are great die sets, probably my go-to. So we'll set those off out of my way. And so first, I think we should cut our pumpkin pieces and go for there. So get the supplies we need in here. Of course, we need an envelope. And there's a lot of parts to this card. So let's get this scored first, and then we'll die cut our pieces. Now you can score on your cutting tools. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you do know that I prefer my scoreboard. And on the 8.5 inch side, we are going to score at 2 1/8 and at 4 1/4. My brain just went. And that's pretty much all the scoring we have on this card. And then we're going to fold this. I'm going to fold this one this way. And of course, I forgot to grab my bone folder, so let me grab it. Well, I don't know where my other one is, so I use this one. This is a very ancient one. My father used to do glasswork, stained glass work, and he gave this to me, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago. And it was my bone folder before Stampin' came along. But it still works. But there is a nice Stampin' Up one. I believe I've left mine in the other room. I've been working in the living room crafting because it's too hot in my craft room. So if we get this fold, it goes like this. So we'll take care of that. Now we're going to do some die cutting. We're going to get out Little Cranky. If you haven't met him before, he is a stamp and cut and emboss machine. He is the mini. And we need some pumpkin pie. And I did give you a description in the thing, but you don't need this big a piece. It just happens to be the piece I have. And cut him down so he fits into Little Cranky here. And we'll grab some plates. We need our number 1 plate, a number 2 plate, and we'll put down our paper and our first pumpkin and second pumpkin piece. Now this piece here, we will be running through the machine twice. But, oop, no sliding. Pull that out. There's our first 2 pieces. We'll set that one aside. You heard that clank. I have a, I'll show you. It is a little magnetic bowl that workmen have used for years to throw their nuts and bolts and stuff into. It works great for putting your dies in as you're working so you don't lose any. If you don't have one, any bowl will do. Just make sure it's got some sides on it. That way you don't lose your dies. And especially some of the stamp sets and die sets have quite a few little ones, and they're easy to lose. I actually had to go looking for a hat the other day. Here's the second piece. Because I lost one of the hats out of the hippo set. It was a lot of fun. Not. So now for the stem, we're going to cut that one out of some crumb cake. And for the little whirly on the top, we're going to cut this out of Mossy Meadow. We'll get those 2 going. Whoop. Get back. There's our stock, and let me get my little tool here because it's a little stuck to my thing here. And here's our little whirly we're going to use on the top. We'll call it the whirly since I don't know what it is. I'm sure all of you are sitting there yelling the name to me. And one of those is still salvageable. Salvageable meaning there's still enough space on that piece of card to use it again. And I believe that is all the die cutting we are going to... No, it is not all the die cutting. I almost forgot we have to cut our pieces here. Now these are the other pieces to the card, and we'll go through those in a minute. But maybe there's a piece of black and a piece of Merry Merlot. These are bigger than you need. You just need scraps. Just enough to cover your die here. And I did, like I said, I didn't pre-cut a lot of this, so you get to see me do all the fussy work now. So, and while we're at it, we're going to cut this one out of Merry Merlot. So I'm just cutting a little bit larger than the die, because what's left is still usable paper. And we'll load this one on there. Plate 1, plate 2, paper, die, plate 2. And run it through. And the last one. Typically, I've been pre-cutting most of my things and not cutting a whole lot on the air. If you would be so kind as to let me know, would you prefer to see stuff pre-cut, or would you prefer to see me actually cutting this stuff out online? It does take a little more time. If you pre-cut, it does shorten the time of the video. But I would like to hear from you and know what you want. So this is the stitched rectangle. Now we're done with the dies. So we'll get a little cranky out of the way. Okay, before we assemble everything, we're going to do a little sponging, actually. You could use a sponge if you have a sponge. We no longer sell the sponges, but we do have the lovely brushes. There's also the sponge daubers. I did try this with sponge dauber. I thought it was a little too heavy. I'm going to hold this up as close as... I'm going to try to get this focused. Can you guys see the marbling and stuff into the pumpkin? Like when you get to see an actual pumpkin, it's got the divots and little marbling in it. And that's what this has. So what I decided to do, because straight pumpkin pie was a bit much, we're going to open up my crumb cake. And I'm going to have a small drink. And I'm going to get a little crumb cake on here. And we're going to lightly sponge this. I think we need a little more crumb cake. I also think I need to take and put a little ink on my pad here. But I just wanted to give it, you see the difference in the two of them? It just gives it that depth. Whoa. And we have hair. The length of it, I would say it's mine. Sorry about that. But if you have pets or long hair, occasionally the hair gets loose. So we're just going a little darker. I'll get a little darker on this side too. And the last one here. A little more. And there's one other piece we need to put this on, and I know you all just watched me cut it. There he is, the stem. He's got the stain marbling at the top, and you know they're all rough at the top. So we want to, and I didn't even sponge off on this one because I wanted it darker. So he's gotten very, very dark at the top. Don't worry about the bottom because he's going to get hidden. And that's all the sponging for the moment. We will be bringing the sponging back in. Okay, so let's get this thing assembled first. And I debated which was the right side and wrong side of this. So I decided the small piece on here was going to be my top. And I looked at these and I decided that the small pieces should go to the top as well. And then I debated, do you want to go forward or back? And I decided behind seemed to me to look more realistic. More like at this angle. This way. So I grabbed some glue. You can use whatever you like. And just put a little on this side. I sort of lined up the top, but not quite. So just up a little bit. Sort of at an angle, just to make the side a little bigger. And think of what a pumpkin looks like, and you know, they're not all perfect. They all look different. I've even seen somebody that actually grew a pumpkin in a square frame so they'd have a square pumpkin, which I thought was rather odd, but they did. We'll put that there. And then our little thingamadoo. And I think the twirl at the top. So we're going to stick him like this so he just sort of hovers over the top. So I'm just going to grab just a little bit of glue back here. And stick him down so he sort of goes over that. Hold that for just a second. So we'll set him aside and let him finish drying while we assemble this card. First, we're going to do the panels. Now, one of these is for the back, so we'll set it aside. I'm not giving you the dimensions because the dimensions are in the description below, and there's quite a few dimensions in this. Now, I want to set my paper back together because when I cut this, I'll show you this. These is how the card goes together. If you look at this, you got small panel, large panel. I cut my paper in a strip so that, oop, that's the wrong one. If you look at the picture, it goes right back together. I cut it this way so that the panel would flow through, clear through. You don't have to do this. I just particularly like doing it. So let's go ahead and hook our panels on real quick. And these actually have quite large margins. They are 1/4 inch. Sometimes I use 1/8, but this one I went larger. Go ahead and put these on the card. sure we have them in the right order. It's a little high. Let's push it down just a tad. Sorry about the chimes. The wind is actually blowing outside. So there's the front of the card. Okay. Next, let's go ahead and assemble this piece. Oops, let's get this out of the way for a moment. Now, this Merry Merlot, it fits in so you have a border going around. We're just going to glue it in. Like that. Now, we are missing one other piece that goes across that, and that's the hello, which needs to be stamped. So we're going to set this aside once again and do some stamping. So I've got a piece of basic white, which is 5 by 3 3/4, I believe. And we are going to do a little stamping and some coloring. So I get my stamps over here we're going to use. And for this, we're going to be using Memento because we're going to use blends to color. So we want to make sure we get our pumpkin well covered. I think we got it now. I'll put it down in this corner. And there's our pumpkin. And that should be it for the blacks. As I've said, when you're going through and make sure you clean up your stamps as you go. That way you don't get a chance of throwing something onto it and making a mess. So next is our hello, which goes on the front of our pumpkin. I just cut some little, these are just scraps, or a little less than 1 inch. You can, make whatever size you want. And we're going to use Merry Merlot. And we're going to stamp right about there. Ooh, that was too heavy-handed. That looks awful. Well, we have another side. That looks a little better. I was a little heavy-handed with that one. So, a little better on that one. And also for stamping, we need, get that closed. We need the Mossy Meadow, and I didn't get this one out, so excuse me. I thought I got all the stamps out. We are going to get, there is a little whirly. This one right here is like we have on the front, the little whirly thing, but this is one we can stamp. Grab a small block, just one moment. I'll just take the hello off the other one and use it. Rather large block for the job, but it will work. And you want to just gently sort of line up your stamp. Oh, didn't quite make it, but it'll be fine. Like that. So you have 2 little curlies on that one. You don't have to add the curlies if you don't want. It's up to you. So get that cleaned up real quick. And the last of our stamping is our envelope. Make sure I've got the right corner. And we are going to use Cajun Craze on this part. Just try to pull in most of the colors from the paper. And we're going to stamp this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. That is what's nice about some of these. The darker, especially the darker colors, you can stamp off up to 3, some of them 4 times, and get just different shades of that color, which I think is wonderful. So there's our leaves done. And this, you can put this on the trimmer, or you can do just a little fussy cutting, straight lines. It's a good thing. I'm not a fussy cutter, really. That looks pretty good to me. This is a rustic card, so let's call it rustic. One more thing before we get that out. We're going to grab that crumb cake one more time. Grab my scratch piece of paper. Get a little crumb cake on here. Just sort of go around the edges of it. Give it a little of an antique look. So it's just, I'm going to rub that really, really gently across the top. Okay, I think we're done with the ink. Now, I am no colorist, I can tell you right now, but I will do my best. So I'm going to start with light pumpkin pie, just like the Stampin' Right markers, thin means a bullet. This is the brush end, the large. And what I usually do is I just gently, and stay away from the edge, don't go right up to the edge or you'll bleed out over the top. Keep my head out of the camera too. And I just sort of, you don't need to be fancy or anything. It's a pumpkin. Just give it a little, slow down when you get to the edges. Like I said, stay just, centimeters, not even a centimeter, probably a millimeter from the edge, so that you don't bleed over. Just like when we were kids, you do the outline first, then go back and do the center. Because you can go faster in the center. Okay, that's the light pumpkin. Now we'll grab the dark pumpkin. And I'm just going to go in here, do some of the lines. Just to add some texture. A little around the bottom. About like that. I'm going to go back with my light and just sort of blend all this together a little bit. Not a lot. Because it will dry a little lighter than it is. But I think it just blends it in just a little bit. And, pumpkins are not all the same shade, so they can be a little different. And then for the stalk, I'm using crumb cake. And we're going to start with light. do around here. This one where I didn't quite get this catch, I will go in with my pen. I have the Stampin' Right marker, and actually we'll just do it with the crumb cake. I'll just pull it in a little bit. No one will know, so don't tell. Now we'll grab the dark and do the same thing, but I'm grabbing the bullet tip this time because we're working in a much smaller area. And we'll blend that just ever so slightly. There's that piece. Here's our other. I decided not to put any words on the inside of this because I wasn't sure if I was using it for a birthday card or a Thanksgiving card yet. So I can make that decision later. But hello worked because either way I'd be saying hello. So we'll grab our card and we'll glue this to the back. That. And now let's build our little seam here. So I'm going to center this about like that into the card, and I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. But I want to keep them towards the middle. I am going to put one right where that, I'll get this back over here, see it. I did put one right here where the stem and the little swirly come together so that I made sure it stayed on. One little drop of glue doesn't always mean it's going to stay there. Well, and while we're at it, we're going to be using dimensionals on here, so I've got it on my finger. Well, I had an extra one, so we'll throw it there. Oh, it's going to be a hot. It's going to be a very hot day. And the wind's already blowing heavily. We're into round 3 of heat wave here in the Northwest. Today's supposed to be in the high 90s, and tomorrow, or Sunday, should be about 102 again. So yeah, if you're not from here, it's rather odd weather for this part of the country. So put that right in the center like that. And then we're going to mount it on here. So I'm going to sort of eyeball first. When you look at these, especially this scallop contour, you can see exactly where the middle thing is, which really does help line this up because you know that you want to line those two up perfectly on the card. And when you do that, your card is centered perfect. So we're going to flip it over this way, and we know we only want glue on this side. So don't go over the magic center line. And line up our card like this. Hold it there for a second. Oh. Get the nuisances out of the way. The remainings of the dimensionals. So here's our card. Placed her right on the back. And our envelope. And this is the first one I did. I'm going to try to find its envelope. There it is. So here is the 2 cards. So you can make your decision. No 2 cards will turn out exactly the same. I have not tried. This is Merry Merlot. It might look nice to do Cajun Craze in here. You know, make it different. Make it your own. So I hope you try this card or something similar to it. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon. Please subscribe and like. And like I said, if you need a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be yours. So please see my online store below. And have a good day. Thank you.